Hi everyone, Terri Bemiss here with WaterSong Creek Creations. And I just wanted to let you know at the beginning that for the next few videos, we're going to be doing something I'm calling Fun with Frames. I've got all different size frames, shapes, colors, and what we're working with on them are going to be mermaids, turtles, starfish, all kinds of seashells, crushed glass, abalone, and we're going to just be showing the variety of things you can make with frames. So I'll explain each video as we go through what exactly I'm using. Of course, it will always be my trusty ProGlas 1000 resin that I'll be using, and then just a variety of fun stuff to make some beautiful things that I hope you'll enjoy and want to follow along. All right, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do with this rather large piece is measure the height and the width and remove my gloves because I'm going to pull up my iPad or pull up on my iPad a resin calculator. This is an app that everyone who works with resin should have on their device. This resin calculator, and that's what it looks like. It's a little hard to see on that iPad, but it's kind of pink and it's got a triangle with a circle around it. And you've got three options: rectangle, square, or round. So I chose rectangle, and here I'm going to put in my dimensions: my height, my width, and then my depth. How deep do you want the resin? And I usually take it down to the smallest, which I think is a 1/4 inch, maybe an 1/8 inch. And then it's going to tell you exactly how many ounces of resin you'll need. I have found that I'd rather make an ounce or two more and have a mold close by to use that excess to make a little mermaid or turtle or pop socket or something. Than to have not enough and have to mix more. So I had laid out my piece like I wanted it, or the basics of what I wanted. I used some moss, some round glass beads to emulate bubbles, give it some color and dimension. Of course, my big beautiful mermaid piece, I got her at Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby is great for finding all kinds of sea life, and that is, I work with ocean scenes and ocean themes a lot, so Hobby Lobby is my friend. But I put everything down to kind of get an idea of it. I always take a picture of it for reference, and then I moved it all off, used a hard bristle brush to scrape away any dust and dirt from the moss or anything else. And then I mixed up the resin according to the resin calculator and poured it all out. And in a previous video, I talked about using a little tool with a shape of a hand on it to spread the resin around. And I said I preferred using that to a gloved hand because I don't like to waste gloves. That is true in most cases. In most cases, I don't make a piece this big. And you see, I started to use that little hand tool. I could see it was going to be take too long to do. So in this instance, I'm just going to use my gloved hand to spread that resin. This is what I prefer because I can feel how much resin is under my fingers and kind of stretch it out like I want if the resin is thin. I can take a thinner amount toward the edge of the glass so I don't have as many drips, and that is important to me. I don't want a lot of resin running over the edges unnecessarily. It wastes resin and it creates a lot of work on the back of the piece when you're finished. So obviously there are always going to be a few little drips you've got to clean up, but I do like the control of spreading the resin with my hand. I just don't like throwing away a lot of gloves. So once I get the resin all spread out, and there you can see I can just feel The resin was really, really thick in the center, and I wanted it more even throughout the whole piece. I prefer that. So get a new glove on and get ready to put everything back down after I get rid of those drips. Drips are going to come through more often than not, and the two ways to get rid of them are a heat gun and a scraper tool, or you can tape a piece off with painter's tape before you get started, and then use a heat gun and lift the tape. The trouble with the frame is if you put the tape down and then you put the tape over it, there's going to be a part of the frame that goes around the back that adheres the tape, and you can't get that off. So I just don't fool with using tape on a framed piece. Another tip, when you go to lay the frame on the glass after you've put the resin down, make sure the hanger, whether it's a sawtooth hanger or a D-ring hanger or whatever, make sure it's at the top of the piece. Make sure it's in the direction that you want the piece to hang. It's an ugly reality when you go to take a piece apart or finish a piece and pick it up and realize that you've got the hanger upside down on the piece. So always be careful of that. When you lay the frame on the glass with the resin, be sure and push all the way around so that the resin is adhering to the wood of the frame. This is why I never put a back on it, because nothing is going to keep that frame on the glass like resin that is, the strongest glue you can have. But I always want to put my cups out to the edge of the glass, because that kind of then pushes the edge of the glass up to the frame. And here I've laid my gorgeous mermaid out, and I'm measuring to make sure she's in the center of the frame. I don't have her off to one side or the other. And the same with the top and bottom. I want to make sure she's centered as much as possible. And then I like the 3D effect of the moss because enough of it adheres to the resin that it's not going to come loose, but not all of it is sticking in the resin. Some of it is sticking up above the frame. So you got a great 3D effect. And now I'm just trying to decide what color starfish I want to go with. I got these starfish at Hobby Lobby as well. They're over in the tabletop decor area, and I decided that I liked the contrast of the blue rather than the white. There's already a lot of white on that piece, so I wanted some contrast of blue to go with it. What's nice about working with resin on glass is you don't have as many bubbles as you do working on wood. Wood can be porous, and so bubbles continue to come up as they come up through the wood. I generally, if I'm working with a wood piece, I'll do a couple of coats of Mod Podge before I put the resin down to help seal the wood and stop those bubbles. But on glass, you don't have that. Glass is way easier to work with. I really enjoy doing the framed art pieces because they're unique, they're one of a kind, people really love them, and bubbles aren't as much of a problem. Now, if I were mixing sand into this piece, oh my goodness. When you mix sand in resin, you get so many bubbles, and you torch, and they pop easily. They go away easier than the wood bubbles do, but glass is the easiest. Here I am using crushed abalone shells. They have a gorgeous shimmer to them. This is the teal color. I get these on Amazon. And I wanted a kind of a heavier grounding at the bottom of the piece. in previous pieces I've done, I've used all crushed glass, and that is a wonderful effect of the ocean. That's a great way to make a shimmery ocean, is using a blue crushed glass or maybe a teal crushed glass. But I wanted a little heavier look to the bottom of this piece, so I just sprinkled quite a bit of crushed abalone, not really to give it a base of the ocean or a floor of the ocean look. I just wanted it to be anchored with a heavier or more substantial look at the bottom of the piece. And I was quite generous with how much I used. The beauty of this kind of artwork is whatever makes you happy, do that. If you want a lighter look throughout the whole piece, you can do that, or you can go heavier. And that's what I chose to do in this instance. There are a lot of different mermaid pieces at Hobby Lobby, and turtles for that matter. If you really like the ocean look, check out Hobby Lobby, and generally these are on sale every other week. One week it's the tabletop art, and the next week it's the wall, the hanging art. So check it out. These round glass pieces I'm using, I get at the Dollar Tree, which is now the $1.25 tree. And they've got them in not all colors. I generally find them in the blue and green, clear, black, sometimes pink. Now and again, they'll just have odd colors, but the ocean colors are almost always available. And I just like to scatter them around to give the illusion of a bubble here and there. It gives the piece interest and it gives it dimension. I just like working with the mixed media and using all kinds of different things in the art pieces for the wall hangings. This is my trusty Ashland glass. It's the filler. You can buy them over around the floral department at Michael's, or the end caps, they'll have the bags. And the bags are a better value because they're 24 ounces for $7.99. You can use a 20% off coupon, and sometimes you find them on sale. So always check. IKEA used to carry this crushed glass. I don't know if they have as much variety anymore, but for my money, the best prices and the most variety is at Michael's. So I'm going for the lighter look at the top and using the crushed glass. It's got such a shimmer to it. It's just gorgeous. And I do sprinkle some around the bottom among the crushed abalone because I want some shimmer. I want sparkle throughout the whole piece. On this one, I did not cover every square inch of the glass. Of the base glass of the frame itself with the crushed glass. I wanted a lot of light to show through, and again, I wanted a contrast of the light covering at the top compared to the heavier look at the bottom. So it almost made it look like she's rising up from the heavy to the top. So I went a little lighter around the top, and then I've got my hard bristle brush, and I'm just brushing all of the loose glass pieces, and there were a lot. Because what you don't want to do when you've got a finished piece is assume everything is tacked down and pick the piece up and loose pieces of glass go falling all over your workspace, all over your carpet, and then you got to vacuum all that up so you don't go around walking on little crushed glass pieces, or if you have pets, they don't get little pieces on their paws. So this is my finished lady. I let her dry for 24 hours, and here is the finished work. The ProGlas 1000 resin is the perfect resin to use for every project. As you can see, she turned out beautiful. She sold the day I put her out at a craft show. I hope you enjoyed this video. Come back and see me again.